I think that you know, it's not that Americans are not aware of some of these problems. It's just that we have no really coherent long-term way of addressing them. Let's take some of the other issues facing the country. We have you know, tremendous excessive costs of doing business in America. We have litigation. We have very intrusive regulation. We have a very expensive tax system to deal with. We have a very high-cost healthcare system. We have a history of energy inefficiency. Again, all these things, if you do, I'm the chair of the Global Competitiveness Report. We do these rankings across 120 countries. We look at all these measures, and these weaknesses of America are well known. But once again, we don't actually step up and tackle these issues. We get locked in sort of partisan gridlock, repeating the same old arguments on both sides. And so what's very exciting about what I see starting to happen in America now with this new administration is perhaps the beginning of an unfreezing process to actually start a more constructive and more positive discussion about some of these great challenges.
Okay, well, let me make sure I get the challenges on the table.
Yes,
One,
sir.
education. Two, energy. Three is what else?
High cost of doing business,
okay,
that are really quite high. For really the lack of a transitional safety net.
Right.
We have an economy where there's a lot of churn in the economy. A lot of jobs are created, but a lot of jobs are lost. And we have a poor system for health care security. Our pension system is less and less secure and unstable. We have very, very weak workforce training system. So people that are out of a job are just kind of left to drift.
Okay, but what this sounds to me like is that, I mean, you talk about health care, you talk about pensions, you talk about energy, you talk about efficiency, you talk about the nature of things that restrain us. You talk about our inability to make our educational system better. It calls for, I mean, it's a perfect agenda for a new administration.
It's a perfect agenda.
For
and I think and by the way, we have some strengths that we have to reinvest in as well. So I don't think we should forget that. Like our science technology system, where our rate of investment has slowed down. Like our belief in competition. One of the things that has struck me for decades as I travel around the world is Americans, most of them believe in competition, believe in free markets, believe in you know, opening up. But I was, you know, I was stunned when I went around the world to hear people talking about America as a protectionist country. But if you actually look at the data on trade barriers and restrictions on foreign investment, we actually slid way down in the rankings. On corruption, believe it or not, and with the recent events in Illinois, I guess maybe this rings more true to more Americans, but in terms of corruption, we've allowed these kind of distortions and impediments to open and free and fair competition to creep into our own economy. So I think we lose our moral authority. So we have to preserve some of these core strengths. We're fortunate that the entrepreneurship of America is alive and well. This is the unparalleled location to start new businesses, to finance new businesses, you know, even in and the troubles we have in our financial markets notwithstanding. But we have to reinvest in these strengths, and we have to actually tackle these weaknesses. That's what a new administration can do. But the last few transitions we've had have not produced that kind of consensus.
Last few presidential transitions.
That's
okay.
True, yes.
There is this issue that always is there, which is the political will there? And how can you do this within the political environment that we have?
It's been working. We've been driving into a real headwind here in terms of our political system.
But it may be changing at this time because the crisis is so deep, and because in this time, you know, someone was chosen who comes from a very different background and approach.
I do believe that this crisis is in fact one of our best hopes for changing the political discussion.
The economic crisis is one of the best hopes for changing our political discussion.
Because I think the issues are so universal and so serious that the petty differences in defending historical policies is no longer, you know, viable.
What's fascinating about that, Henry Kissinger just sat in the chair, and you met him when he was leaving, and you came in here, saying that perhaps the economic crisis is going to offer a unique opportunity to create new adaptability and new relationships among the major powers in the world. This is two things, two different people saying, within this crisis, because it is so deep and so pervasive and so global. There may be an opportunity to do things that we could not under normal times.
And I firmly believe that, and actually that is a characteristic of crises or difficult periods that you observe over and over again, that it creates this sort of unfreezing process. It allows hard things to get done because people are more open to reflect and change what they do. The key, of course, is whether you have leadership that's willing to play that integrating and sort of consensus building, if you will, role. And I think that the president-elect is, I think, off to a very good start. I think